Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you got truly lost in Genshin Impact? I don't mean I can't find this one quest objective lost. I mean lost in the adventure. That feeling of climbing a random cliff for no reason, gliding to a speck in the distance and finding a secret that felt like yours. A secret that wasn't on a map, wasn't part of a quest chain, and wasn't clustered with 5 other points of interest. If you're struggling to remember, you are not alone. This is not a hate post. Let's get that out of the way. I still love this game, but I can't shake a growing feeling that the very soul of Genshin Impact, its wild, untamed exploration, has fundamentally changed. The recent announcements for Nod-Krai and the upcoming Luna 2 patch, which seems to be skipping a major map expansion, have only confirmed a trend I've been noticing for a while. We've traded a sprawling, unpredictable wilderness for a meticulously curated, densely packed museum. And while the new exhibits are beautiful, I miss the thrill of the hunt. What I mean is, the vibe is just different. Back in the 1.0 and 2.0 cycles, you could wander. You could set off in one direction and just walk. You'd stumble upon a random ruin, a cryptic note, or a world quest that felt genuinely hidden. Now, exploration feels more like a to-do list. When I step into a new area, I can almost see the invisible strings of the level designer. I can see the content cluster over there, the obvious breadcrumb trail of Seelies, the perfectly placed challenge marker. The world feels less like a real place and more like a series of interconnected tasks. We're not adventurers anymore. We're auditors, clearing a checklist. It's efficient, I'll give it that, but it's not mysterious. Think back to Liyue in 1.0. Remember stumbling upon the Chi of Gaiun quest? No quest marker led you there. You found a fragment, talked to a ghost, and were pulled into a multi-stage mystery. Remember calculating the exact stamina and food you'd need to glide to that nameless island with the sundial? That was discovery. It felt organic. It felt like you found it. Now, compare that to many modern world quests which are so clearly telegraphed, starting with a blue exclamation mark in a main hub, leading you on a carefully plotted path. The game has stopped letting us find the story, it just gives it to us. And we can see this reflected in the numbers, not just the feeling. If you look at the chest counts, Fontaine's 4.x cycle had well over 1,300 chests. The 5.x cycle for Nod-Krai were trending closer to 1,000, maybe even a bit less. Now, before the comments fill up, I know Hoyoverse has been very careful to balance the Primogem rewards. They've front-loaded the value into more exquisite and precious chests and added new systems like time-gated exploration rewards. I am not talking about the rewards. I am talking about the act of exploration itself, the experience. I'd rather find 20 common chests hidden in the wilderness than 5 precious chests laid out for me on a silver platter. So the big question is this: why? Why this shift? I have a theory, and it's a 2-part answer. The first part has a name: Sumeru. Sumeru, in my opinion, was the absolute peak of Genshin's original hardcore exploration philosophy. It was a masterpiece. It was massive. The jungle was a dense, multi-layered labyrinth, and the desert, it was vast, complex, overwhelming, and for many an absolute nightmare. I loved it. I loved the feeling of being a tiny person in an endless sea of sand, knowing that entire cities and tomb complexes were buried just beneath my feet. I loved navigating those catacombs before we had the multi-layered map, using nothing but wits and environmental clues. It was a true adventure. It wasn't just the size, it was the sheer audacity of its design. The jungle's verticality with its layers of roots, caves, and canopies was a puzzle in itself. The Aranara questline wasn't just a quest, it was an entire parallel world hidden inside the main one. The desert then asked you to unlearn all of that, presenting a vast, hostile surface that guarded its secrets with obscurity. It demanded your patience. It demanded you pay attention. It rewarded you for being curious, not just for following a pin. But I think we, the hardcore exploration junkies, were in the minority. A very, very loud portion of the community despised it. The feedback was brutal. The desert was too big, too empty, too confusing. The puzzles were too hard. People felt stranded, frustrated, and overwhelmed. And Hoyoverse, being an incredibly smart and responsive developer, listened. Enter Fontaine. The change was immediate. The puzzles became simpler, more streamlined. The map, while layered, was far more logical and less labyrinthine. And Nod-Krai is the ultimate expression of this new philosophy. It's beautiful, it's polished, but it's also flat. You can climb to a high point and see almost everything. You can visually pinpoint where the content is. The days of the Sumeru-style cryptic underground world are I fear are over. But that's only half the reason. The Sumeru feedback was the catalyst, but the real reason for this change is, and has always been, the platform you might be watching this on right now, your phone. We on PC and console often live in a bubble. We forget that Genshin Impact is not just an open-world RPG, it is one of the biggest and most successful mobile games on the planet. The average mobile player is not sitting down for a 4-hour immersive exploration session. They are playing on a 20-minute bus ride. They're on their lunch break. They are playing, as the saying goes, for a good time, not a long time. For this massive and arguably most important segment of the player base, getting hopelessly lost in a Sumerian tomb is not fun. It's a chore. It's a barrier to their daily progress. They want the checklist. They want to log in, follow a clear path, get their rewards, and log out. This new design philosophy, this curated museum, is perfect for them. It's accessible. It's efficient. It respects their time. And honestly, that's good design for that audience. We can even see this reflected in the tools they give us. Look at the evolution of the treasure compass. The original compass was a dowsing rod. It just pointed in a general direction, a hot and cold game that still forced you to use your eyes and your brain. The new compass? It literally puts a pin on your map. It's a GPS coordinate. It's a fantastic quality of life update for clearing out those last few chests, but it is also the perfect symbol of this entire shift. We've moved from discovery to clearing. And I have to be honest, I get it. I really do. Hoyoverse is in an impossible position. They have to balance the desires of hardcore adventure-seeking PC players with the needs of time-strapped casual mobile players. You simply cannot make a world that is both a cryptic, sprawling wilderness and an easy-to-clear 20-minute session-friendly map. A compromise had to be made. My issue is that in making this compromise, I think the pendulum has swung too far. I've seen the argument that the new maps are denser and more detailed, and that this is objectively better than the empty spaces of the past. And visually, this is true. Chenyu Vale and parts of Nod-Krai are breathtaking. Every corner feels polished to a mirror shine, but that polish creates its own problem. When every single part of the map is designed to have a purpose, a secret, or a reward, the world stops feeling like a world. It feels like a level. The magic of exploration in games like Breath of the Wild or Skyrim, which Genshin was clearly inspired by, comes from the contrast. It's the long, quiet, and pointless stretches of wilderness that make the moment you do find a hidden cabin or a mysterious ruin feel so special and personal. It's the silence between the notes that makes the music. Genshin's new approach feels terrified of that silence. It's a constant barrage of stimulation and it's exhausting. It's paradoxical, but by making the maps denser, they somehow feel emptier of that core spirit of adventure. And this is what has me worried about the future, especially with the announcement of UGC or user-generated content in Luna 2. I am deeply concerned that Hoyoverse sees this as the new home for exploration, that they will provide the core story experience in their new streamlined maps and then leave it to the community to create the endless hardcore exploration content. And that to me is a massive problem. UGC should be a bonus, a fun side mode. It should not be a replacement for the handcrafted, lore-rich world of Teyavat itself. I fell in love with the world Hoyoverse built, not a Teyavat-themed level editor, because let's be blunt, a community-made level, no matter how clever, can never replace the real thing. It can't be integrated with the world's deep lore. It can't have the same breathtaking art direction, the same bespoke musical score, the same sense of permanence. It's a minigame, and I'm worried that we are about to trade a handcrafted, epic world for a collection of disconnected, fan-made minigames. That is not the adventure I signed up for. So where does that leave us? I think we're at a crossroads. The game is undeniably more polished, more accessible, and more respectful of the casual player's time than it was in 1.0. We've gotten incredible quality of life updates that have sanded off the rough edges.
But I fear that in sanding off those edges, we've lost the very friction that makes an adventure feel like an adventure. The feeling of being a tiny person in a massive, overwhelming, and sometimes unforgiving world is gone. The game has matured, but in doing so, it has also become tame. I miss getting lost. I miss the genuine, unscripted surprise. I miss the quiet moments. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a jaded veteran romanticizing a past that was in reality, a lot clunkier and emptier than I remember. Maybe I'm the one who's changed, and I just don't have the same endless hours to devote to aimless wandering that I did 4 years ago. But I can't be the only one who feels this way. What do you think? Do you prefer the new, streamlined, curated exploration? Or do you miss the old, wild, unpredictable days of getting hopelessly lost? Let me know your entire thoughts down in the comments. And of course, if you enjoyed this kind of discussion and want more deep dives into Genshin Impact, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. It really helps out the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.